I'm the president of the American Association for Sex Addiction Therapy. I'm the executive director of Heart to Heart Counseling Center. People fly in to Colorado Springs and do intensives 3 or 5 days every week of the year. And so I've been doing this work for over 35 years. I have taken more masturbation porn histories than any man on the planet, bar none. I've been a recovering sex addict for over 35 years, and which means no porn, no masturbation, no sex outside of marriage. Taking a polygraph to prove that.
Doug Weiss is one of those people who wears a lot of hats, depending on how you see him. He's the president of the American Association for Sex Addiction Therapy and the executive director of Heart to Heart Counseling Center.
I mess up my wife all the time because I want more sex the rest of my life. And I just really mean it with Lisa. I love her so much. She satisfies my inner being. And these are what she wants to hear. So if you will tell her, you satisfy me, it'll mess her up for at least a week.
In this episode of The Many Lies of Doug, we dive deeper into the latest twist, his involvement in the Daystar scandal. Doug Weiss, a man who has always prided himself on being the ultimate marriage counselor, often painted a picture-perfect image of his life, complete with the best wife on earth.
But I can tell you, after years of doing sex right, I am so attached to Lisa's big green eyes, it just blows my mind. I mean, I look at those eyes and I'm thinking, I am coming home tonight. Because I am attached to her eyes, because when we have sex, we maintain eye contact. I am attached to her soul.
What's your favorite things about Lisa?
Oh, she's got the purest heart I've ever met. I mean, it's just, she loves and serves with that 20,000 square foot building for a counseling center. That's a lot. She runs it like a home. I mean, people just like her because she's just got this kind of like, how can I help you? Heart. Mm-hmm. You know, that's just easy.
That is so much like my Joni.
Oh, thank you.
We can all have a great sex life. Christ died so we could have great sex.
Doug Weiss is one of those people who wears a lot of hats, depending on how you see him. He's the president of the American Association for Sex Addiction Therapy and the executive director of Heart to Heart Counseling Center.
I'm the president of the American Association for Sex Addiction Therapy. I'm the executive director of Heart to Heart Counseling Center. People fly in to Colorado Springs and do intensive.
Most of them make it.
I guess the butterfly feelings kind of last, I guess, for the first 18 months of maybe a new relationship. Is it because those fade away?
Mine
and
don't. I got 30 years and I'm still butterflied as soon as she walks. Seriously.
That's good.
Lisa's my buddy. She's my friend and co-partner in business and everything we do. And I invest in that.
What's your favorite things about Lisa?
Oh, she's got the purest heart I've ever met. I mean, it's just, she loves and serves with excellence. Everything she does with excellence. You know, she's an amazing individual, creativity-wise. She's an amazing mom, and she runs our company. You know, we just bought a 20,000 square foot building for a counseling center. That's a lot. She runs it like a home. I mean, people just like her because she's just got this kind of like, how can I help you? Heart. Mm-hmm. You know, that's just easy.
That is so much like my Joni.
Oh, thank you.
Doug always had a way of making his marriage sound like the gold standard. Anytime he talked about his wife on camera, it was all smiles, compliments, and stories about how amazing she was. For years, it felt like he was the guy who truly had it all figured out, both in his personal life and in his counseling business.
Do you remember when you said I do? What does your I do mean that you would do? I praise my wife all the time because that is the voice of God towards her.
But now that with the leaked audio and his divorce from Lisa, a lot of people, including me, are starting to wonder, was it all just a show? Could all those sweet words and perfect marriage vibes have been a facade designed to make him look like the ultimate expert on love and marriage? Let's be real, if you're running a counseling business, projecting the image of a rock-solid marriage is a great way to get people to trust you and book your sessions. It's hard not to feel a little skeptical now. If Doug's marriage wasn't what he made it out to be, what does that mean for the advice he's been giving? Don't get me wrong, everyone has struggles, but the idea that he might have been using his personal life as a marketing tool to build his brand, that stings. It makes you wonder how much of what we saw was genuine and how much was just good PR. The divorce doesn't just raise eyebrows, it raises questions. Can someone really guide others in their relationships when their own is falling apart? Or was the business of looking perfect more important than being real? Honestly, it's tough to watch someone you thought had the answers suddenly seem like they don't have it all together after all. In the many leaked audio clips that have surfaced, Doug has shifted the narrative, making it seem like his marriage to Lisa was less of a partnership and more of an obstacle to his career. It's almost like he's rewriting history, painting himself as someone who had to endure the marriage all those years, rather than celebrate it as the blessing he once claimed it to be. One particular audio stands out, and I'm going to play it for you shortly, where Doug reveals something shocking. He claims that there was a show he had always wanted to create, but according to him, God had restricted him from pursuing it while he was still married. Doug says that God told him, "I will fund it." He implies that the moment he filed for divorce, God miraculously provided the funding through people who showed up out of nowhere.
When I was going through the divorce process, I already filed for divorce. Now for 20 plus years, I wanted to do a show on Daystar, okay? And the Lord said, don't you fund it. I'm gonna do it. I'm like, okay. So I went on for years. And after I filed, I had a guy give me $400,000. Then about a week and a half later, I had someone give me $250,000 out of the blue. Okay. So I'm like, okay, Lord. So I'm still. We're working still in the filing process and not knowing what's going to happen. Okay, now that's a miracle. Okay, you don't get $650,000 out of the air. That's a miracle, right? And you know, okay.
It's a bold claim, to say the least. Doug essentially frames the timing of his divorce as part of some divine plan, as if breaking up his marriage was the key to unlocking his career goals. But let's be real for a second. How does that add up? Does God really bless actions that go against the very covenant of marriage Doug spent years preaching about? It feels like he's using God to justify a decision that has left many people, especially those who looked up to him, feeling confused and betrayed. And honestly, it's heartbreaking to hear Joni speak so poorly of Lisa now. Let's not forget, Lisa wasn't just Doug's wife, she was also a part of Daystar. She appeared on the network, shared her perspective, and that was part of the image Doug built as the perfect counselor with the perfect marriage.
He's never been loved by a woman like I've loved him because he lived in a loveless marriage for so long. And he covered for his wife for years, because he always believed that somehow God would work a miracle.
Despite all the times Doug went on camera proclaiming his love for Lisa, it seems that those words didn't hold the truth they were meant to carry. This is a lesson for all of us, not to be swayed by fancy talk, emotional declarations, or polished public personas. It's easy to get caught up in the charm of someone who knows how to speak well, especially when they sprinkle their words with spiritual language. But the reality is, actions always speak louder than words. In today's world, media platforms allow anyone with charisma and a message to reach millions, but not all messages come from a place of sincerity. Some leaders use their platforms to build a facade, saying what people want to hear while living a completely different reality behind the scenes. It's no surprise that Doug's glowing words about Lisa now ring hollow, given the abruptness of his actions. What looked like admiration on the outside was perhaps nothing more than a carefully constructed narrative to maintain an image. This is a dangerous trend in Christian circles and beyond. People see what's presented to them on stage or online and assume it reflects the whole truth. But what's hidden off camera often tells a very different story. This isn't just about Doug or Lisa. It's a broader issue of deception, especially when those claiming to represent God use their influence for personal gain or to manipulate. Warning: when leaders preach one thing but live another, they undermine the faith of their followers and damage the message of the gospel. It's critical to hold leaders accountable. A good speaker doesn't automatically mean a good heart. A public show of affection doesn't guarantee private integrity. As believers, we must test what we hear against God's word and observe whether actions align with what is being taught. Fancy talk and emotional appeals can be powerful tools of deception if we're not discerning. Selling business.
Do you remember when you said I do? What does your I do mean that you would do? I praise my wife all the time because that is the voice of God towards her.
But now that with the leaked audio and his divorce from Lisa, a lot of people, including me, are starting to wonder, was it all just a show? Could all those sweet words and perfect marriage vibes have been a facade designed to make him look like the ultimate expert on love and marriage? Let's be real, if you're running a counseling business, projecting the image of a rock-solid marriage is a great way to get people to trust you and book your sessions. It's hard not to feel a little skeptical now. If Doug's marriage wasn't what he made it out to be, what does that mean for the advice he's been giving? Don't get me wrong, everyone has struggles, but the idea that he might have been using his personal life as a marketing tool to build his brand, that stings. It makes you wonder how much of what we saw was genuine and how much was just good PR.
This situation offers lessons for Christian leaders and believers alike. First, it highlights the importance of discernment and patience in making life-changing decisions, especially after a period of loss or upheaval. Rushed decisions, no matter how well-intentioned, can raise questions about motives and judgment. Second, it underscores the necessity of maintaining consistency in words and actions. Speaking one way in public but acting another way in private can undermine credibility and witness, especially for those in positions of influence. Ultimately, this serves as a reminder to extend grace, seek accountability, and approach both relationships and leadership roles with humility and transparency. While no one is perfect, striving to live with integrity and wisdom can help us honor God and maintain the trust of those we serve.